Hey everybody, welcome to Keller Acres. Today I am going to be sharing my homemade caramel recipe. I make these every year for the holidays. I like to give them out with our Christmas gifts because caramels are so delicious. So I am sharing my favorite recipe. There are other recipes out there. I've tried other ones, but I like a darker, chewier caramel. So this is the recipe that I love and make every year. So here we go. I'm gonna first share what you need for this recipe, and then we'll move over to the stove and we will make them. You're gonna need 1.5 cups of butter. Get my butter at Costco. And then you're gonna need 1.5 cups of brown sugar. You can use light or dark. I use dark. I prefer dark brown sugar because I like a richer, darker caramel. I use dark brown sugar actually for all of my baking, unless I'm using a different kind of sugar, that is. When it comes to brown sugar, I don't ever use light brown sugar anymore. Dark is just, it's so good. You're also gonna need a can of sweetened condensed milk, 1.5 cups of corn syrup, and 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So those are the things you're gonna need. Now we're gonna move over to the stove and get started on these caramels. Okay, we're ready to get started with these caramels. This is a long stirring process once you get to the boiling part and you're stirring, so make sure you've got like something to drink handy, just in case you get thirsty or kind of just bored. Anyway, okay, we're gonna start by first we're gonna turn the heat on our stove. We're gonna start by putting our butter in to let that get melting a little bit. I'm starting out kind of between around the low. I'm gonna keep mine on low. It seems like on a gas stove, it gets hot really fast, and you don't want this to get hot too fast, otherwise you will burn them. I've done that before. So we're gonna get our butter in here. Just keep that on low like I said. The recipe will say to boil on medium usually, but on a gas stove, you don't want to be on medium. That would just be too hot. Okay. Also good to have something handy to wipe your hands on, and a spoon rest is good too. Like to be able to have a place to set that spoon down every now and then. Although once you get to the stirring process, you do really have to just keep stirring. Just letting that melt a little bit, then I'm gonna be adding in our brown sugar with that and our salt. Those are gonna be the first two things that go in there. I'm gonna start adding in my 1.5 cups of dark brown sugar now. It's not completely melted, but I'm gonna start adding that. It doesn't have to be completely melted yet. I'm just gonna stir it in 1/2 cup at a time. Right, getting the last of the brown sugar mixed in here. And we're gonna add in our 1/4 teaspoon of salt. The butter's almost melted. Also, get your pan ready for when they're done. You do want to go ahead and have that greased. I buttered mine just using an 8x10 glass baking dish. All buttered and ready to go so that once we're done stirring it, you can get it put in there right away. Okay, as you can see, the butter's almost melted, so we're gonna move on with the rest of our ingredients. So now I'm gonna add in my 1.5 cups of corn syrup. It's so thick, kind of slow coming out. All right, 1 cup going in. This is a good time to have a little spatula handy so you can scrape all that out of your cup. Also make sure your candy thermometer's handy. We will be boiling this until it reaches 240 degrees approximately. I sometimes go a little past that. I've done it enough times that I kind of know what consistency I like it to be as far as how hard it's getting, because I like mine a little bit chewier. So the less time you boil it, it's going to be softer. The longer, the chewier, but there's that fine line between the perfect chewy or turning it into a hard candy. I have done that before. Now we're going to add in our sweetened condensed milk. Again, the mini spatula, gotta have one or two or three. Stir it all together, and this is where the fun begins. Just the nice, consistent stirring, and then once it starts boiling, you just keep a stirring. And then here pretty soon I'll put that candy thermometer in. I don't want to do it too soon or it's just going to kind of be in the way, I feel like, of my stirring. Here's a quick peek of how it's looking. Nice, pretty caramel color. So since it hasn't started boiling yet, I don't have to worry about walking away for a brief moment. Once it starts bubbling, you do not want to stop stirring. So if you need to grab something or wash your hands real quick, now's the time to do it. Also more entertaining if you have a TV on to listen to or a podcast going, something like that. I also do like to have a little taste as I'm going. Feels really good. The stirring process will take around 10 minutes once it starts bubbling, approximately. This is my first batch of the season, so it's always kind of that getting back into the swing of it. I usually like to pay attention so that I remember for the next time how long did I stir it once it started bubbling. That just helps give me an idea so I can get my consistency how I want it. So if one turns out softer, I know, okay, take it a couple minutes longer the next time, or vice versa. If you are a podcast listener and you like true crime, I just finished Noble recently, and that's an Audio Chuck production. I like their podcasts, and I also recently listened to OC Swingers. That was good. That one was, it is crime. It's a different kind of crime. Currently, I'm listening to Park Predators. Those are really good too. So many good ones that they have. So many good ones. For me, it's all about the voice. Whoever's doing the podcast has to have that right voice for me to be able to listen to it. Some people have it and some people just don't. The sides of your pan get a little hot. I'm just gonna stick a little oven mitt on here so when I grab it, I'm not burning my fingers. My husband's waving out the window at our chickens. So cute. I wonder if they're gonna wave back. Starting to see some tiny bubbles, but we're not boiling yet. You can also make caramels in the microwave. I don't do that, but my mom does, and she has great success with it. So there are microwave caramel recipes out there if you prefer to do something that's gonna be a little less stirring. But I just do it the good old-fashioned way. Growing up, my mom always made caramels. I think that's where I get this love of wanting to make caramels and Christmas candy. My mom and her mom used to make lots of different Christmas candies. I don't make all of those. I've never been a fan of Divinity. I don't know, gross. I like fudge, but you know, you can only eat so much fudge. It's kind of rich. Just like a little tiny bit of fudge every year is plenty. They also used to make these great hard candies, but I remember watching them do that and that looked pretty intimidating. They made red and green, cinnamon and spearmint hard candy. I just remember they get it out and it's so hot and you're trying to cut it, and that one just never, I loved it. It was a really good tasting candy, but the process, I don't know. I don't know about that one. So I've never attempted that one myself before. Right now, this looks like a really good caramel sauce. I was just thinking to myself, I don't know if you watched any of my product videos, if you have, or my homemade vanilla video, but we got these cute little bottles on Amazon, and I thought they would be perfect to put some caramel sauce in, but then again, I don't use caramel sauce, so, but I thought it looked, if you use caramel sauce, you should make some caramel sauce and get these cute little bottles, or if you know someone that likes caramel sauce, that would make a great little gift too to give away at Christmas. Just another thing I thought that could be put in those cute little bottles. Also, elderberry syrup. We're going to be making some elderberry gummies and elderberry syrup, and there will be a video on that. And I also thought elderberry syrup would be beautiful in one of these bottles, but I don't think we're going to have enough left to put in it after we make our gummies. We'll see, but they would make a great little bottle for something like that, or any other little homemade type of remedy. Maybe you're making some other kind of homemade cold medicine or something. Could be really cute in one of those bottles. But the elderberry being purple, I just thought that would be really pretty because they're clear bottles. You can feel it's getting thicker. We're about 8 minutes in and it's not quite boiling yet. And it's once we get to where it's boiling more is when it becomes about another 10 minutes. So another thing I like to do while I'm making it, stick a little spoon in there, put it on my spoon rest, let it cool for a minute, and then I taste it and kind of see how thick it's getting that way too. I have a feeling some of these caramels are gonna probably make it to my husband's office. They seem to like candy there. And we just don't eat it all at home right now. It's kind of early. It's only the beginning of November, but I thought this is a great time to share the recipe in case you want to experiment with making some before the holidays. If you've never made them before, sometimes it's nice to do an experimental batch first. Starting to get some bubbling action going on now. So approximately 10 more minutes. This is the part where when it starts to bubble like this that you don't want to stop your stirring. I didn't say this already. I kind of think I didn't. We add the vanilla after we're done boiling before we pour it into the pan. So if you're wondering if I forgot about the vanilla, I haven't. We add that in last at the end. In a couple more minutes, then I'll use the thermometer just to see where we're at, even though we've still got a little ways to go. We're only a little over 2 minutes into the boiling part. About halfway through the boiling process, approximately. You can get your candy thermometer out at any time. I'm just waiting till I know that I'm pretty close. But if it's your first time making them, you might want to check it sooner just to see where you're at. Again, 240 is around the temperature that you're going to want to get to. I'll probably take it a little past that. We'll see. I'll let you know once I get there, because I don't always use a thermometer, so sometimes I don't actually know the temperature, but I'm going to use one today for this video. We're getting closer, 9 minutes into stirring. And we'll just check the temperature. Right around 200 at the moment. We are 10 minutes into boiling, so it's going to be beyond 10 minutes for the boiling on this one. We're almost there. One thing about tasting it as you go, once it starts sticking to the roof of your mouth, you're almost there. We are done. I'm going to add the vanilla, so you want to take it off the heat. That ended up being an almost 17-minute boil. So it can vary, also depending on how hot you have your stove set up. Stir in that vanilla, and then we're gonna pour it into the pan. Oh, there we go, it's in the pan. It's a long process, like I said. It gets hot standing over that stove. I'm sweating now, but it is so worth it. So these are gonna sit on the counter and harden up for a while, and then we'll come back. Once they've hardened, get them cut into little squares and wrapped in the candy wrappers I found on Amazon. Okay, I cut all my caramels out. As you can see, it takes a while to cut those out. They're kind of hard to cut. You might need to spray your knife with some cooking spray. That helps kind of. And I've got my little candy wrappers. I got these on Amazon. You can also just use wax paper. I've done that in the past too. So this is how I wrap mine. And there might be a prettier way, but this is how I've always wrapped mine. So that is what I'm gonna show you. Just my normal way. Fold it up like that. Then I just twist corners like that. And done. So nothing fancy. You can always come up with a fancier way, but that's how I do mine. And you know what? If I come up with a fancier way, I will definitely share it. My husband seems to think I need to come up with a fancier way, but we'll see. Also, I like to dip some in chocolate. I'm not gonna do that with these today, but I might do that on a future video. Just get some melting chocolate, dip them, let them set up, sprinkle a little sea salt on top, and delicious. But these make a great holiday, holiday gift, something to give along with a holiday gift, or something to take to a holiday party. Please feel free to drop a comment if you like this recipe and hit the subscribe button. Thank you.